Welcome, gentle heart, to Monk's Temple. Find a quiet space now where you can be undisturbed. Settle into your seat. Feel the support beneath you. Let your hands rest easily. You are here now. That is all that matters. We spend so much of our lives searching for happiness. We chase it through promotions, relationships, achievements. We tell ourselves, once I get this, then I will be happy. And sometimes we feel we have caught it. But it always slips through our fingers. We are left thirsty again. This is the oldest human dilemma. Centuries ago in ancient India, a man who would become the Buddha sat beneath a Bodhi tree and asked a question that would change the world: why is there suffering? And more importantly, is there a way out? He was not asking as a philosopher. He was asking as a physician, diagnosing a disease and searching for a cure. He looked at the human mind with the precision of a surgeon and the compassion of a loving parent. What he discovered was not a set of beliefs to adopt, but truths to verify for yourself. He found that the cause of our discontent is not external. It is not your boss, your partner, or your past. The cause is internal. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of how our own minds work. We react to the world in ways that create our own suffering, and then we blame the world for it. Imagine standing by the shore of a vast, calm ocean. The water is clear and still. This is the mind in its natural state. But then a wind kicks up. Ripples form. Soon there are waves. The wind is the events of our lives. The harsh word, the unexpected bill. The waves are our reactions. The anger, the fear, the craving. We get so caught up in the waves that we forget the ocean is still there, deep and undisturbed below. The Buddha's teaching is not about stopping the wind. That is impossible. Life will always bring storms. The Dharma is about teaching us how to navigate the waves, how to stop being tossed about by them, and how to remember the calm depths that are our true home. Tonight we explore 3 profound instructions from this path. They are simple to understand but require a lifetime to master. And that is perfectly okay. There is nowhere to get to. This is about becoming a more awake person, learning to live with a little more ease and a lot more peace. The first instruction is this. Establish yourself in truth. Live a life aligned with what is real. Now your mind might jump to big lies. But the truth the Buddha speaks of is much more intimate. It begins with the tiny ways we are dishonest with ourselves moment by moment. Think about a typical day. Your alarm goes off and you hit snooze, telling yourself you will rest 5 more minutes. That is a small untruth about your intentions. A colleague asks how you are. You say, "I'm great." Automatically, even though you feel tired or anxious. You are presenting a polished surface while the depths are something else entirely. These small departures from truth are like cracks in a foundation. One crack does not bring the house down. But add another, and the whole building becomes compromised. You live in a house that is not sound. You are always a bit on edge. You have to remember which story you told to whom. It is exhausting. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was a graphic designer at a small agency. She desperately wanted to be seen as competent. One day her boss David assigned her a major project. Sarah was thrilled. But as she started working, she realized she was in over her head. She did not understand a key piece of software required for the project. She could have asked for help. But that would mean admitting she did not know something. That would crack her facade. So she faked it. She spent hours struggling, getting nowhere. She told David everything was on track. It was a lie. She was drowning and too afraid to ask for a lifeline. The pressure mounted. She stopped sleeping. She snapped at her partner. The house of her life was showing stress fractures. The deadline arrived. Sarah presented her work. It was subpar, amateurish. She saw David's face fall. After the client left, David turned to her. He looked tired. "Sarah," he said, "this is not what you told me you could do." In that moment, Sarah could have made excuses. But something in David's eyes made her stop. She took a deep breath. And for the first time in weeks, she spoke the truth. "I did not know how to do it," she said. "I did not know the software. I was too embarrassed to ask for help. I am so sorry." The silence was heavy. Sarah braced for anger. But David just looked at her and nodded slowly. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for telling me the truth. We cannot fix what we do not talk about. Let us get you the training you need." Sarah felt a wave of relief so powerful it made her dizzy. The truth, which she had feared as destructive, turned out to be the only thing that could save her. The foundation of her house, which she thought she was protecting by hiding cracks, was only made solid again when she revealed them. This is the power of living in truth. It is not always easy. It requires courage. But it is the only way to build a life that is genuinely stable. When you speak the truth, you have nothing to remember. You have nothing to fear. You are simply being who you are, and there is profound rest in that simplicity. If this gentle exploration resonates with you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. By subscribing, you create a sacred appointment with yourself, a regular reminder to return to inner stillness. Please take a moment now to click the subscribe button below. We continue our journey together here at Monk's Temple. In our time together, we laid the first foundation stone, the practice of living in truth. We explored how even small departures from honesty create cracks in the foundation of our peace. Now we move deeper into the architecture of a happy life. We turn our attention to the fires that can burn that house down. The second great instruction from the Buddha is this: do not let the fire of anger consume you. Now understand what the Buddha was saying. He was not issuing a command to never feel anger. That would be like commanding the ocean to never have waves. Anger is a natural human emotion. It arises in the body. You can feel it. The tightening of the jaw. The heat in the chest. The shallowness of the breath. The clenching of the fists. This is ancient biology. It is the fight or flight response, triggered not by a saber-toothed tiger, but by a rude comment, a driver cutting you off, a partner not listening. The problem is not the arising of anger. The problem is what we do next. We have two default settings. The first is suppression. We push the anger down. We pretend we are not upset. We put a lid on the boiling pot. But the pressure builds. And eventually, it explodes, often at the wrong person, at the wrong time, over something trivial. Suppression does not work. The second default is expression. We vent. We let it out. We raise our voice. We say things we later regret. This feels good for a moment, like releasing steam. But all we have done is spread the fire. The other person is now hurt or angry. The firestorm escalates. Relationships burn. Bridges collapse. Expression does not work either. The Buddha offered a third way. A middle path. The path of mindful observation. It is the ability, in the very moment the heat rises, to pause. To take one conscious breath. And in that pause, to simply notice. Ah, here is anger. I feel heat in my chest. My thoughts are spinning stories of victimhood. This is an old visitor. When you do this, you create a tiny sliver of space between the stimulus and your response. In that space lies your freedom. Let me tell you a story about a man named James. James was a high school teacher. He was dedicated and compassionate. But he had a temper. Students with their eye rolls and backtalk could push his buttons easily. He would go home many evenings with a headache, replaying conflicts, feeling guilty and drained. One particularly difficult day, a student named Darius snapped at him in front of the whole class. "Just leave me alone. You do not understand anything." Darius shouted, his face red with rage. James felt the familiar fire ignite in his chest. His first instinct was to snap back, to assert authority, to send Darius to the principal's office. The words were right there on his tongue. But in that moment, James remembered something an old mentor once told him. The mentor said, "When someone throws a burning log at you, do you catch it, or do you let it fall to the ground?" James took a breath. He looked at Darius. He did not see a disrespectful student. He saw a young man in pain. Darius's anger was not about James. It was a burning log from his own fire, and he was throwing it at the nearest person. James let it fall. He took another breath and said quietly, "Okay, Darius. Let us talk after class." The room went silent. Darius looked shocked. The fire in his eyes flickered, replaced by confusion. After class, Darius came to his desk, shoulders slumped. He did not apologize right away. But James just said, "Rough day." And Darius talked. He talked about his parents fighting at home. About feeling like he was failing. About pressure he was under. He talked for 20 minutes. James just listened. He did not lecture about respect. He offered the gift of presence. By not catching the burning log, James created space for Darius's fire to cool on its own. He was not being weak. He was being a master of his own mind. The Buddha called anger having a mind without boundaries. When we are angry, our world shrinks to the size of our grievance. We can only see the other person's fault. We lose the bigger picture. We lose compassion. We lose peace. Think about the last time you were angry. What did it feel like in your body? What stories was your mind telling you? Were you the master of the fire, or were you its fuel? The practice is not to never feel anger. The practice is to become such a skilled observer that you no longer feel compelled to act on it. You let the visitor arrive. You acknowledge it. You might even offer it a seat. But you do not let it set the house on fire. There is profound power in this. When you refuse to be drawn into the anger of another, you are untouchable. Their words have no power because you are not playing their game. You are grounded in your own peaceful center. This is the strength of the sage, not the weakness of the coward. We will continue this exploration in our next time together. For now, sit with this. Notice the fires in your own life. See if you can create just a little more space between the spark and the flame. We continue our journey together. We have laid the foundation of truth. We have learned to create space around the fires of anger. Now we come to the third instruction, the one that perhaps holds the deepest key to lasting peace. The Buddha said, practice generosity. Give. Even when you have little. Now when you hear the word generosity, your mind likely goes to money. Writing a check to charity. Donating old clothes. And yes, that is a form of giving. But the Buddha was pointing to something much deeper. He was pointing to the very root of human suffering. And that root is clinging. Our minds are like fists. From a young age, we learn to grasp. We grasp at toys, then at grades, then at jobs, then at relationships, then at status. We are constantly trying to hold on to things, people, and experiences. We believe our happiness depends on possessing them. But life is a river, constantly flowing. You cannot hold water in a closed fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it runs through your fingers. This grasping creates a constant background hum of anxiety. We fear losing what we have. We fear not getting what we want. Generosity is the conscious, deliberate act of opening the fist. It is a practice in letting go. When you give something away, your time, your attention, your money, a smile, a compliment, you are training yourself in the art of non-clinging. You are proving to yourself that your happiness does not depend on that object. And this is incredibly liberating. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Elena. Elena was a painter. She was not famous, but her art was her life. She lived in a small apartment, and her paintings were stacked against every wall. She poured her heart into them. They were like her children. She would never dream of selling them for less than she thought they were worth. She went to gallery openings hoping to be discovered, but she almost always left feeling disappointed, clutching her business cards tightly. Her art had become a source of anxiety and possessiveness. One afternoon, she visited her elderly grandmother in a nursing home. Her grandmother had dementia. Her memories were fading. In the common room, Elena saw the other residents. Many had no visitors. They sat in wheelchairs, staring at blank walls. The atmosphere was one of quiet, profound loneliness. On a whim, Elena went back to her apartment and chose one of her smaller paintings. It was a vibrant painting of a sunflower field, full of light. She brought it to the nursing home and asked if she could hang it in the common room. The director was touched. A week later, Elena visited again. As she walked into the common room, she saw an old man in a wheelchair, parked right in front of her painting. He was just staring at it, a small smile on his face. A nurse walked by and said to Elena, "That is Mr. Henderson. He has not spoken in weeks. But since that picture went up, he asks to be parked here every day. He just looks at it." Elena stood there, watching Mr. Henderson look at her sunflower field. And in that moment, she felt a joy so profound, so deep, that it completely eclipsed any feeling she had ever gotten from a gallery opening. The painting was no longer hers in a way that caused anxiety. It had become his source of comfort. In that giving, it had become infinitely more valuable. She had opened her fist, and instead of losing something, she had gained a feeling of connection that no money could buy. She started doing it regularly. She gave paintings to the local library, to the children's hospital, to the small cafe down the street. Each time she let one go, it felt like a small liberation. Her apartment became less cluttered. More importantly, her mind became less cluttered. Her art was no longer a hoard to protect, but a gift to share. The Buddha said the most powerful gift is the one given from a little. If you have $1 million and give away 100, it is a nice gesture. But psychologically, it requires little effort. You have not really challenged your clinging. But if you have only $1, and you see someone hungry, and you give them that dollar, knowing you will now walk home instead of taking the bus, that is a profound act. In that moment, you are wrestling with your own ego, your own fear of lack. And when you give anyway, you have achieved a great victory. You have proven you are bigger than your fear. You have tasted the freedom of the open hand. This applies to non-material things too. Giving your full attention to a child telling a long story. That is generosity. Giving a sincere compliment to a coworker you secretly envy. That is immense generosity. Giving a smile to a stranger you would normally look through. That is a gift of your humanity. Each act of generosity is a practice in letting go. And in letting go, we find we are holding the only thing we ever truly could, the present moment, with a heart full of peace. We have now explored the 3 great instructions separately. Truth as foundation. Non-anger as protection from fire. Generosity as the opening of the fist. But these are not 3 separate paths. They are 3 strands of one braided rope. They support each other. They weave together into a life of genuine peace. Let us look at how they connect. You cannot truly practice generosity if you are living in untruth. Why? Because your giving becomes just another performance. Another way to get something. Praise. Gratitude. A good reputation. You give, but secretly you are keeping score. You want something back. That is not the open hand. That is the fist disguised as an open hand, still grasping for recognition. True generosity flows from a heart that rests in truth. A heart that has nothing to prove. You cannot master anger if you are clinging tightly to your possessions, your opinions, your need to be right. Anger and clinging are cousins. They arise from the same source. The fear of loss. When you cling to your view of how things should be, and reality presents something different, anger rises. Letting go of anger is itself a profound act of generosity. You are giving the other person the gift of your patience. You are giving yourself the gift of peace. And you cannot live in truth if you are constantly on fire with anger. Anger distorts vision. It creates its own reality. When angry, we believe our story completely. The other person is wrong. We are right. This is injustice. This is not truth. This is a fever dream. Truth requires clarity. Clarity requires a calm mind. A calm mind requires the practice of non-anger. So you see, they are one practice. 3 doors into the same room. The room of peace. Let me tell you a story that weaves all 3 together. It is about a woman named Priya. Priya worked in a busy hospital as a nurse. She was compassionate and skilled. But there was one colleague who made her blood boil. A doctor named Dr. Harrison. He was arrogant, dismissive. He would bark orders and never say thank you. He spoke to nurses like they were beneath him. Priya dreaded every shift they shared. Her truth was clear. Dr. Harrison was rude and disrespectful. She held this truth tightly. Every interaction confirmed it. She would go home and vent to her husband about him. The anger burned. It followed her into her time off. She carried it like a stone in her chest. One evening, a pediatric patient arrived. A little girl with a high fever, struggling to breathe. The room was chaos. Priya was doing everything she could. Dr. Harrison walked in. He assessed the situation quickly and started giving orders. His tone was sharp, as always. Priya felt the familiar fire rise. Here he was again, being difficult. But then she looked at his face. Really looked. Behind the sharp tone, she saw something else. Focus. Intensity. And beneath that, fear. He was scared too. He was fighting for this little girl just as hard as she was. His sharpness was not about her. It was about the pressure he carried. The weight of responsibility. The fear of failure. In that moment, something shifted in Priya. She did not catch the burning log. She let it fall. She simply followed his orders and did her work. After the crisis passed and the girl stabilized, Dr. Harrison walked over to her. He looked different now. Tired. He said quietly, "Good work in there." "Thank you." It was 2 sentences. But for Dr. Harrison, it was a mountain. Priya nodded. "You too," she said. And she meant it. The next day, Priya brought in a small potted plant for the nurse's station. A little green life in a place full of beeping machines and fluorescent lights. It was a small thing. But as she placed it there, she thought about Dr. Harrison. She thought about the burning logs we all carry. The next time she saw him, she offered a small nod. He returned it. Over time, something changed between them. He was still sharp sometimes. But she no longer carried the stone in her chest. She had given something away. Not a plant. Something more. She had given up her need to be right about him. She had given up the story she told herself. She had opened her fist. This is how the teachings work together. Her truth was that he was difficult. But a deeper truth was that he was also human, struggling, scared. That deeper truth allowed her not to catch his anger. And that non-catch allowed her to practice generosity. The generosity of understanding. The generosity of a fresh start. When we weave these teachings together, we stop living in fragments. We become whole. Our lives become coherent. Our peace becomes unshakable. Not because the world stops being difficult, but because we stop adding fuel to the fire. We stop building walls with our lies. We stop clutching so tightly. This is the path. Not 3 rules to follow. 1 way of being. Truthful. Unburnt. Open-handed. It is available to you right now, in this very moment. You do not need to wait. You can begin exactly where you are. We have walked together through the 3 great instructions. We have seen how they weave together into one path. Now we must address something essential. Something the Buddha understood deeply. This path is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily practice. A moment-by-moment return. You will forget. This is guaranteed. You will catch yourself in a small lie. You will feel the fire of anger rise and you will fan the flames before you remember to pause. You will feel your fist clench around something you are afraid to lose. This is not failure. This is the practice. Imagine you are learning to play an instrument. You do not sit down once and become a musician. You practice. You make mistakes. You play wrong notes. But each time, you notice. You adjust. You try again. Over time, the mistakes become less frequent. The music becomes more beautiful. But even the greatest musicians still make mistakes. They still practice every day. The mind is the same. It has spent years learning to lie, to react, to cling. These patterns are deeply grooved. You cannot erase them overnight. But you can begin to create new grooves. New pathways. Each time you choose truth over a comfortable lie, you dig a new groove. Each time you pause before reacting in anger, you dig a new groove. Each time you open your hand and give, you dig a new groove. Let me tell you a story about a man named Thomas. Thomas was a carpenter. He built beautiful furniture. Tables, chairs, cabinets. He was known for his craftsmanship. But Thomas had a problem. He was a perfectionist. Not the healthy kind. The kind that paralyzes. He would spend hours on a single joint, adjusting, readjusting. He would lie to clients about deadlines because he was never satisfied with his work. He would tell them, almost done, when really he had started over 3 times. His wife would ask him to come to dinner. He would snap at her. "Can't you see I'm working?" The fire of frustration would rise, and he would throw it at her. He was clinging to his idea of perfection. Clinging so tightly his hands were always cramped. His mind was always churning. There was no peace in his workshop, only pursuit of an impossible standard. One day, a young couple came to him. They wanted a simple dining table. Nothing fancy. Just solid wood, clean lines, something to gather around with their 2 young children. Thomas agreed. He started building. And immediately, the old patterns emerged. A small imperfection in the wood grain. Not a structural problem. Just a natural variation where the tree had grown around an old branch. But Thomas saw it as a flaw. A mistake. He wanted to scrap the tabletop and start over with a new piece of wood. That night, he could not sleep. He lay in bed, mind spinning. The deadline was approaching. He had told the couple it would be ready. But the table was not perfect. He was trapped in his own web, caught between his lie and his impossible standard. His wife stirred beside him. He felt the distance between them, a distance he had created with his snapping and his absence. In the morning, he walked to his workshop. The early light streamed through the windows. He looked at the table. The imperfection was still there. A small knot in the wood, slightly darker than the rest, with a subtle swirl in the grain around it. He ran his hand over it. And for the first time, he really saw it. Not as a flaw, but as a mark of authenticity. Proof that this tree had lived, had grown, had faced its own challenges and adapted. The knot was the tree's history, written in wood. He thought about the young couple. They did not want perfection. They wanted a place to eat together, to laugh together, to watch their children grow. The imperfection would be part of their story, part of the table's life. In 20 years, that knot would still be there, and the children would run their hands over it, and someone would say, "This is where the tree once had a branch." Thomas made a decision. He would tell the truth. He called the couple and said, "The table is ready. But I want you to know, there is a small knot in the wood. It is not a flaw. It is just part of the tree's life. If you want me to make a different table, I will. But this one is honest." The couple came to see it. The woman ran her hand over the knot. She smiled. Her husband nodded. "This is perfect," she said. "This is our table. It has character. It has a story." Thomas felt something shift in his chest. The truth had set him free. The imperfection he had fought so hard against was exactly what made the table beautiful. His clinging to an impossible standard had been the only flaw all along. He went home that evening and sat down with his wife. He apologized. Not for the work, but for the snapping, for the absence, for the wall he had built. He told her the truth about his stress, his fear of not being good enough. She listened. When she spoke, he did not get defensive. He just listened. And then he gave her something. Not a thing. His presence. His full attention. For the first time in months, they sat together without the wall of his perfectionism between them. Thomas still notices imperfections. He still feels the urge to start over. But now he pauses. He remembers the knot. He remembers that truth, patience, and generosity are not just for monks in temples. They are for carpenters. For partners. For parents. For you. They are for everyday life, in all its imperfect glory. This is the long journey home. Not to a perfect place, but to a real place. A place where you can rest, exactly as you are, in the middle of your imperfect, beautiful life. We continue our journey inward. We have explored the 3 instructions. We have seen how they weave together. Now we must look at something the Buddha emphasized again and again. The importance of training the mind. Not through force. Through gentle, persistent practice. The mind is like a wild elephant. It has tremendous power. It can destroy or it can create. Left untrained, it runs where it wants. It crashes through villages. It tramples everything in its path. But trained, that same elephant becomes noble. Steady. Useful. It can carry great burdens. It can move with grace. It can be trusted in any situation. Your mind is the same. Untrained, it runs after every desire. It chases pleasure and flees from discomfort. It tells stories all day long, most of them untrue. It rehearses past hurts and predicts future disasters. It creates suffering where none needs to exist. But trained, that same mind becomes your greatest ally. It rests where you direct it. It sees clearly. It responds with wisdom instead of reacting with habit. It becomes a source of peace rather than a generator of chaos. The training the Buddha offered is called mindfulness. Simply put, it is the ability to pay attention to what is happening right now, without wishing it were different. It is the art of being fully present. Not lost in memories of yesterday. Not anxious about tomorrow. Just here. Just now. It sounds simple. It is not easy. But it is possible. And it is the foundation upon which truth, non-anger, and generosity are built. Without mindfulness, you cannot even see when you are lying, when you are angry, when you are clinging. You are just swept along by habit. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Nora. Nora was a lawyer. She was brilliant. Successful. Partner at a prestigious firm. From the outside, she had everything. Corner office. High salary. Respect from colleagues. But inside, she was a storm. Her mind never stopped. It raced from case to case, from worry to worry, from judgment to judgment. She would lie in bed at night, heart pounding, while her mind rehearsed every conversation from the day and predicted every disaster for tomorrow. Sleep was a stranger. Peace was a memory. She tried everything. Medication. Therapy. Wine. Nothing quieted the storm. The wine helped for an hour, then made everything worse. The therapy helped her understand why she was anxious, but did not stop the anxiety. The medication dulled the edges but took the color out of everything. She began to despair. Was this just what life was? Endless churning. One day, a friend suggested meditation. Nora laughed out loud. She did not have time to sit around doing nothing. She had cases to win. Billable hours to meet. A reputation to maintain. But the storm continued. It got worse. One night, she found herself sitting on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m., crying, unable to stop her mind from spinning. The next morning, desperate, she agreed to try the meditation class. She found a small center near her office. Sat on a cushion. The teacher, an older woman with calm eyes, said, "Just watch your breath. Feel the air coming in. Feel it going out. That is all." Nora tried. Within seconds, her mind was off. A deadline. A difficult client. What to have for dinner. Why is this so boring? This is a waste of time. The teacher said, "When you notice you are distracted, just come back to the breath. No judgment. Just come back. However many times you wander, just come back." Nora spent the entire class coming back. Over and over and over. It felt like failure. Like she was the worst meditator in the world. She left frustrated, sure she would never return. But something strange happened. That night, she noticed a tiny moment of calm. Just a second. But it was there. So she returned to the class. Week after week. Still distracted. Still coming back. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifted. She began to notice the space between thoughts. Just a crack at first. Then a little wider. She began to see that she was not her thoughts. She was the one watching the thoughts. The storm was still there, but she was no longer lost in it. She was standing at the window, watching the rain. The rain still fell, but she was dry. One afternoon at work, a senior partner exploded at her in a meeting. He was wrong about the facts. She was right. Every fiber of her being wanted to fight back. To prove her point. To defend herself. The old Nora would have launched into a fierce argument, making the situation worse. But she had been practicing. She took a breath. She felt the fire rise. Heat in the chest. Tightness in the jaw. Stories spinning about injustice and disrespect. And instead of acting, she just watched it all. Not suppressing. Not expressing. Just observing. And then, something remarkable happened. The fire did not go out, but it stopped controlling her. It was just energy passing through. She looked at the partner and said calmly, "I hear your concern. Let me review the file again and we can discuss this afternoon." The partner blinked. He had expected a fight. He did not know what to do with calm. He mumbled something and moved on. Nora sat down, heart still beating fast, but a smile on her face. She had not caught the burning log. She had let it fall. In that moment, she tasted real freedom. This is the training. This is the path. One breath at a time. One moment of noticing at a time. You do not need to escape your life. You just need to learn how to be present for it. And it begins right now, with this very breath. We have journeyed far together. We have explored truth, anger, generosity, and mindfulness. Now we must address something that lies at the very heart of human suffering. Something the Buddha called craving. The endless wanting. The constant reaching for something other than what is. Craving is the thirst. The thirst for pleasant experiences to continue. The thirst for unpleasant experiences to end. The thirst to become something other than what we are. It is the background hum of discontent that drives so much of our lives. We feel it as a vague restlessness. A sense that something is missing. A belief that happiness is just over the next horizon. If only I had that relationship. If only I had that job. If only I lived in that place. Then I would be happy. But the horizon always recedes. You get the relationship, and soon you want it to be different. You get the job, and soon you want the promotion. You move to the new place, and soon you notice its flaws. The thirst is never quenched. It is like drinking salt water. It seems to satisfy for a moment, but it only makes you thirstier. The Buddha did not discover this to depress us. He discovered it to free us. Because once you see the pattern, you can step out of it. You can recognize craving for what it is. Not a genuine need. Just a habit of mind. A habit that can be unlearned. Let me tell you a story about a man named Marcus. Marcus was a collector. Not of anything specific. Just a collector of things. His apartment was filled with boxes. Books he had not read. Clothes he had not worn. Gadgets he had not used. Kitchen appliances still in their original packaging. He shopped online constantly. Packages arrived almost daily. His friends joked about it. His family worried. But Marcus could not stop. There was a feeling he chased. The moment of ordering. The anticipation of delivery. The opening of the box. For a brief moment, he felt alive. Excited. Complete. But the feeling never lasted. Within hours, sometimes minutes, the new thing joined the piles. And the restlessness returned. The thirst returned. So he ordered something else. Marcus was not stupid. He knew this was a problem. He had debt. He had no space to move in his own home. He had relationships strained by his preoccupation with packages. But knowing was not enough. The habit was stronger than his knowledge. One day, his elderly aunt came to visit. She was the only family member who did not criticize his collecting. She just observed. She sat in his crowded living room, surrounded by boxes, and said nothing. Finally, she asked, "Marcus, what are you looking for?" The question stopped him. No one had ever asked that. Everyone told him to stop, to change, to be different. No one asked what he was seeking. He opened his mouth to answer, but no words came. He realized he did not know. He had been running so long, he had forgotten what he was running from. His aunt waited. Then she said gently, "My grandson, you have filled your home with things, but your heart is still empty. The things cannot fill the heart. Only presence can fill the heart. Only being here now, with what is, without wanting it to be different." Marcus felt something crack inside him. A wall he had built with every package. He looked around at his possessions and saw them differently. Not as treasures. As monuments to his restlessness. Each one a failed attempt to satisfy a thirst that could never be satisfied by things. Over the next months, Marcus began to change. He did not try to stop cold turkey. He just started noticing. Before he clicked buy, he would pause. He would feel the craving. The excitement. The anticipation. And he would ask himself, what am I really wanting right now? Sometimes the answer was distraction. Sometimes it was comfort. Sometimes it was a sense of control. He began to see that what he really wanted could never arrive in a box. He started giving things away. At first it was hard. His fist clenched. But he remembered the teaching. Each time he let something go, he felt a little lighter. A little freer. He started spending time with his aunt. Just sitting. Talking. Being. He found that presence was more satisfying than any package. One evening, he sat in his living room. It was still cluttered, but less so. He had space to move. Space to breathe. He realized he was not restless. Not in that moment. The thirst was absent. He was just there, in his imperfect apartment, with his imperfect self, and it was enough. More than enough. It was peace. This is the promise of the Buddha's teaching. Not that you will get everything you want, but that you will stop needing to want. That you will find the contentment that has been here all along, hidden beneath the craving. You do not need to become a monk or live in a forest. You just need to start noticing. One craving at a time. One pause at a time. One moment of enough at a time. The thirst can end. Not because you finally get what you want, but because you finally realize you already have what you need. You have this moment. And this moment, fully lived, is enough. We continue our journey together. We have explored the nature of craving. Now we must look at its close cousin. Aversion. The push away. The resistance to what is. If craving is the thirst for what we do not have, aversion is the rejection of what we do have. The discomfort with the present moment. The wish for it to be different. Aversion shows up in many forms. Irritation at a slow driver. Frustration with a difficult colleague. Impatience with a child's questions. Dislike of the weather. Resentment toward a partner. Discomfort with our own bodies. It is the constant, low-grade friction with life. The sense that things should be other than they are. The Buddha saw that aversion is just the other side of craving. Two sides of the same coin. Both are forms of wanting. Craving wants something else to come. Aversion wants something else to go. Both keep us trapped in dissatisfaction. Both prevent us from resting in what is. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Chloe. Chloe was a yoga teacher. She was good at her job. Her students loved her. She could guide them through difficult poses with grace and patience. But outside the studio, Chloe was different. She was constantly irritated. The grocery store lines were too long. The traffic was too heavy. Her neighbors were too loud. Her phone was too slow. The world was always failing her expectations. She would come home from teaching, having spent hours guiding others toward peace, and immediately find something to complain about. A dish left in the sink. A bill in the mail. A noise from outside. Her husband learned to give her space those first hours after work. He knew she was carrying a backpack full of rocks, even if he did not understand why. One day, a new student came to her class. An older woman named Helen. Helen moved slowly. She could not do the poses the way Chloe demonstrated. She needed modifications. She asked questions. Lots of questions. Chloe felt the familiar irritation rise. Why could this woman not just follow along like everyone else? Why did she have to be so difficult? After class, Helen approached her. Chloe braced for another question. But Helen just smiled and said, "Thank you. You have such patience with us. I can see you are a real teacher." Then she left. Chloe stood there, something caught in her throat. Patience. Helen saw patience. Chloe only saw irritation. That night, she could not sleep. She thought about Helen's words. She thought about her own constant friction with life. She thought about her students, who came to her seeking peace, while she herself was filled with resistance. She realized she was like a waiter serving food she never tasted. A guide pointing to a path she never walked. The next morning, she made a decision. She would practice on herself what she taught to others. She would meet her own irritation with curiosity instead of judgment. When the line at the grocery store was long, she would notice the feeling. Tightness. Impatience. The story in her head about how it should be different. Instead of fighting it, she would just breathe and be present with the line. Just a line. Just people. Just life. When the traffic was heavy, she would notice her hands gripping the wheel. Her jaw clenching. The thoughts about being late. And she would soften. Just a little. Release the grip. Drop the jaw. Come back to the breath. The traffic was still there. But the suffering was optional. When her husband left a dish in the sink, she would notice the spark of annoyance. And instead of lighting the fuse, she would just watch it. A spark. Just energy. It did not have to become a fire. Sometimes she would wash the dish herself, not as a chore, but as a practice. A small act of letting go. Slowly, the backpack began to lighten. The world did not change. The lines were still long. The traffic was still heavy. The neighbors were still loud. But Chloe changed. She stopped fighting reality. And in that stopping, she found a peace she had been teaching for years but never known. Her husband noticed. He came home one evening and found her sitting quietly, not complaining, just present. He sat beside her. After a while, he said, "You seem different." She smiled. "I stopped carrying rocks," she said. He did not understand, but he liked the change. The Buddha taught that resistance is suffering. Not the difficult situation. The resistance to it. When you stop pushing against what is, you discover that most difficulties are manageable. They are just life. Hard sometimes. But not suffering. Suffering is the resistance added on top. The story that it should not be this way. The fight against reality. You can lay down your rocks too. Not by changing the world. By changing your relationship to it. By meeting each moment with presence instead of pushback. By softening instead of clenching. By accepting what is, not because it is good, but because it is real. And reality, fully accepted, becomes the ground of peace. We have reached the end of our journey together. At least for now. We have walked through the 3 great instructions. Truth as foundation. Non-anger as protection. Generosity as opening. We have explored mindfulness as the training ground. We have seen craving and aversion as the 2 thieves that steal our peace. Now we come to the most important teaching of all. The teaching of impermanence. The Buddha observed that everything changes. Nothing lasts. Not the pleasant moments. Not the unpleasant ones. Not our bodies. Not our relationships. Not our possessions. Not our thoughts. Not our very selves. Everything arises, lingers for a time, and passes away. This is not a pessimistic view. It is simply reality. And seeing reality clearly is the beginning of freedom. Why is this liberating? Because we suffer when we try to hold on to things that are inherently passing. We suffer when we cling to youth, to health, to relationships, to possessions, to identities, as if they could last forever. They cannot. Everything is a river. You cannot step into the same river twice. You cannot hold the same moment twice. The attempt to hold on is the source of so much grief. But when you truly see impermanence, something shifts. You stop grasping so tightly. You appreciate each moment more deeply because you know it will not last. You forgive more quickly because you know resentment only poisons the time you have. You love more fully because you know this love is precious and fleeting. Impermanence is not a tragedy. It is what makes life precious. Let me tell you a story about a man named David. David was a photographer. He traveled the world capturing images, landscapes, people, wildlife. He was good at his work. His photos hung in galleries. But David had a secret sadness. He was haunted by the past. He spent hours looking at old photographs, missing the places he had been, the people he had known, the person he used to be. He was always comparing now to then. And now always fell short. One day, he traveled to a small coastal village to photograph the sunset. He had heard it was spectacular. He arrived early, set up his equipment, and waited. As the sun began to descend, the sky transformed. Gold, orange, pink, purple. It was more beautiful than he had imagined. He clicked furiously, capturing image after image. And then, in a moment of presence, he lowered his camera. He just watched. The colors deepened. The light softened. The first stars appeared. He felt something he had not felt in years. Not the satisfaction of a good photograph. Just the simple joy of being alive, watching something beautiful, asking nothing more. The sunset ended. The sky darkened. David stood there in the quiet. He realized that for years, he had been trying to capture moments, to own them, to keep them from passing. But the moments were never his to keep. They were gifts to be experienced and then released. The photographs were not the moment. They were just echoes. The real moment was gone, as it should be. That was its nature. He thought about his life differently after that. The people he loved. He could not keep them forever. But he could be fully present with them now. The places he visited. He could not return to every one. But he could fully inhabit the one he was in. The person he used to be. Gone. But the person he was right now, standing under the stars, was enough. David did not stop taking photographs. But he stopped trying to hold on. He started experiencing more and capturing less. He started being more present with his subjects, whether they were mountains or people. His work changed. People noticed. There was something different in his images. A quality of presence. An acceptance of what is. He was no longer fighting the river. He was flowing with it. The Buddha's final instruction, the one that underlies all the others, is this: see the nature of reality. See that all things pass. And in that seeing, find freedom. Not freedom from loss. That is impossible. But freedom from the suffering that comes from fighting loss. Freedom to love fully, knowing love ends. Freedom to live fully, knowing life ends. Freedom to be fully present, knowing this moment will never come again. You are sitting here now, listening to these words. This moment is unique in all of history. It will never return. Can you feel its preciousness? Can you be fully here, not wanting it to be different, not wishing it would last forever, just present with what is? This is the path. Not a destination. A way of walking. Truth. Non-anger. Generosity. Mindfulness. Seeing clearly. Letting go. Being present. It is all here, available to you in every moment. You do not need to wait. You do not need to become someone else. You just need to wake up to what already is. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your presence, your attention, your open heart. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. May you walk your own path with courage, grace, and a heart full of boundless compassion. This is Monk's Temple. Until we meet again, take good care of the peaceful being that you are.